Today we're going to talk about a couple different things as far as taking an active role in your health. So I think one thing that I see as a primary care physician is that the idea of our society being an instant gratification sort of society. So when I want a car, I call an Uber. If I want food, I go on my phone and I can order it. I'm just waiting for the Jetsons type thing for someone to be, a robot to be brushing my teeth and getting dressed in the morning, which would be awesome because I'm not a morning person. So I think the thing is that what we have to remember is it's very important to take an active role in your health. It's not something that you can sort of sit idly by and wait to become healthy. It's something that you can do on your own, both with your physician and on your own to take steps that you can do. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of these things, including diet and exercise, which no one likes to talk about, but hopefully we'll make this a little bit fun and not as intimidating as it can be. Talk about preventative care, vaccinations, and one thing that I think gets dropped off a lot is mental health, which is just as important for physical health as diet and exercise. So I think those are things that we definitely would want to focus on. And just as the reminder, only you like Smokey the Bear, only you can prevent forest fires. Only you can take the steps necessary to ensure your good health. As physicians, we're here to help, but we're only with you for maybe 15 to 30 minutes every couple of months or maybe even every year. So it's something that's everyday things to work on. So one thing we're going to start with is talking about the healthy eating and portion control and things like that. So one thing I think that people forget with healthy eating is that it is important to eat healthily, but remember that holidays are holidays, birthdays are birthdays. So what I always tell my patients is, don't make Thanksgiving and Christmas month-long celebrations, but I will tell you, I do not count calories on Thanksgiving. I do not do a healthy eating plate on Christmas. I eat whatever I want on those days, and on the other days, I'm very careful. So my husband and I have been working on portion control, and I was telling Michelle earlier, we would be good 5 days out of the week, and on the weekend we'd cheat a little bit. I had to be very careful about how I said that, because I said that to one of my friends. They said, oh yeah, we're good for 5 days and we cheat on the weekends. And they looked at me very shocked, and I said, you know us, I mean eating. Okay? So, it is important to maintain your health as best you can and work on this, but remember, if it becomes like a job, people won't do it. That's the biggest thing I think I find when people come into the office is, you talk about diet, and I don't think of myself as someone who diets, but I count my calories, I watch my portion sizes. So one of the biggest things you can do is pay attention to those labels on your food items, because it will tell you what serving sizes are. So I measure out my Cheerios in the morning. So use your measuring cups and measuring spoons. I'm not a baker, so this is really all I use my measuring cups. These are just some of the recommendations from the American Heart Association. So who here has an extra 30 minutes 5 days a week? I don't. And so that's why I really like that or. So, 150 minutes a week is tricky, but 25 minutes 3 times a week is a little bit easier. So we're going to get to, on the next slide, talk about the difference between moderate and vigorous exercise. So what I always tell my patients is, I don't know many people who can get to the gym or get out and do a full workout 5 days per week. And I think it's important to be reasonable there. I think one of the things where we sometimes have a disconnect between doctors and patients is it sounds like we're just spouting out things that you should be doing, you should do this and you should do that. And I think it's very important that we be honest. And so I don't get 5 days of exercise per week. I don't. And that's okay, because I try to do longer workouts or more intense workouts more frequently. It's a matter of finding what works for you. It's very easy for us to say, do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. But it's a matter of finding what works for you. It's a moving target. There's a lot of gray area here. And so I think looking at this, they say 25 minutes of vigorous exercise 3 days per week. The part where I definitely fail is the sort of muscle conditioning and the high intensity muscle strength. I don't lift weights. I hate lifting weights. I haven't done a push-up since I left the Air Force 2 years ago, and I'm proud of that. And so, muscle strength is something that I am not as good with, but for women especially, as we talk about osteoporosis risk, weight-bearing activity and building muscle mass is extremely important. And so trying to find ways that you can do some sort of muscle strengthening activity is good.
First of all, welcome to the Art of Being a Visionary Leader. Come on in. Just for those who don't know me, I'm Nicole Champlin. I'm a coach, I'm a trainer, more than anything else, so I love just collaborating and working with other like-minded women and talking about the things that makes us happy, that makes us feel engaged, that makes us want to jump out of bed in the morning. So hopefully what we'll walk away with today is just a better idea on how we can do that more for ourselves and for the people that we're leading. What happens is the canvas, your business, your output, that's kind of what you're painting on. Your paint are your team members, the folks that you're using, right? They're the ones that are gonna, help you design your masterpiece. And when it comes to how well you use your paint, your tools, what we're really looking at are how are your skill sets? What are the tools that you bring to the table? So today I want to talk about 3 specific skill sets in terms of leadership and how it can help you be better at painting and tapping into that inner creativity, right? How many people here would describe themselves as creators? Good number of you. How many are kind of like me and you don't think you have a creative bone in your body? Okay, I'm going to challenge you today to tap into that inner creative bone. Because believe it or not, you have it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be drawing a masterpiece, right? But I bet you come up with really awesome creative ideas. I bet you're a creative problem solver, or that you find new ways of doing things. And that's really what we want to kind of encourage ourselves to do a little bit more of.
So you increase your chances of succeeding when you fail. Again, go back to the numbers. The more you try, the bigger chance you're going to have to fail. But if you fail and you survive, you reinvent yourself or you fix the problem, you go on to do great things. But if you let one failure stop you, you'll never succeed. You'll never know what your potential was. But in the end, if you come down hard on people when they make mistakes, they're never going to try again. They're not going to give you 110%. You'd be lucky if they give you 80%. They're going to show up for their paycheck and they're going to look for another job. Because if they know that you are hard on them for mistakes, why would they try? They're not. They're just going to show up and take their check. And that's not what you want. You want team players that are in it to win it and go into battle with you, follow behind you, get in front of you, have your back. And if you don't have their back, when a client, yells at your employee and you don't step in and go, hey, no, don't let the door hit you on the way out. You don't talk to my people like that. We don't talk to you like that. You're not going to treat my people like that. You're not going to treat me like that. You come to my living room, in my place, we're all going to behave. Or if they make a mistake and you don't back them up, they're gonna leave.
There's been a lot of research on the benefits of experiencing positive emotions. They give us so many benefits that you can see kind of why you would be more successful. So the first group of benefits that we get from being positive are psychological benefits. A number of psychological benefits. I'm going to give you just a few. One is energy. So when we're more positive, we have more energy. Am I right? Right? And I mean, if you don't get it exactly, well, think about the opposite. Think about when you're depressed. How much energy do you have when you're not feeling very good? Right? I mean, what do you feel like doing? Anything? Sometimes you don't feel like even getting out of bed, or you don't feel like leaving the house. You just don't have energy to tackle the next big project. It's the exact opposite. When you're in a positive mood, when you're feeling good, then you have energy to get things done, and you try things and you just do more, and you're like, oh, I can clean out the garage, spring cleaning, I can do that this weekend, and you get up and you do it because you feel like you can. At work, you get more done because you tackle more things, because you have more energy. Something else you have is more self-confidence. So we know that when people are experiencing positive moods, they're much more self-confident. So this again is going to lead you to be more successful. You're going to set higher goals when you're positive. Oh, I can do that. I can go back and get that degree. I can ask for that promotion. I can take on this kind of scary project because why not? I can do it. So when you're positive, you're going to be setting higher goals and persisting longer and to achieve those, because you will also be more resilient. Positive people are significantly more resilient. So being positive, I'm not talking Pollyanna-ish, everything is always great and ignoring the negative. I mean, stuff happens, and we will always have moments when we are having bad moods or negative experiences and bad things happen. But what the research shows is people who are in general more positive, when the bad happens, they recover much more quickly. Half of the time, we're not here in the present moment. We're off, right? And the problem with that is that when we're off and our minds are wandering, it's usually negative. Most of the time, we're either ruminating about something from the past, that we wish we could have changed, that we wish hadn't happened, that if only I had done this or said that, or I should have done this, right? Or we're worrying about all those bad things that might happen in the future. And some of us are more ruminators. Some of us, like me, are more worriers. I mean, I could spend 90 to 100% of my time worrying about all those awful things that might happen, especially since I have teenagers. But it's a tendency that I've always had, right? And so this is what's bringing negative emotions to an otherwise pleasant present moment. Most of our present moments are mildly pleasant. Okay, they might not be woo amazing, but they're not as bad as all those emotions we're bringing to them when our minds are wandering. In fact, they even found, so you could say, well, what if my mind is wandering to something great? You know, I'm thinking about something fun I'm going to do. Well, they found in that case, you're the same level of happiness as if you're focused on the present moment. Not any better. And if you're thinking about something neutral, you're more unhappy than if you're focused on what you're doing, even if what you're doing is washing the dishes or mowing the lawn. I mean, they were surprised. It's not even that, you know, you could be doing something you don't even like. Most people, the number one thing they didn't like was commutes to work. But they found that if you're focused on what's happening on your commute or looking out the window and what's going on, you're actually going to be happier in almost every case than when your mind is wandering. And equally happy than when you're thinking about something positive. So it's pretty important, the impact that staying mindful can have on our well-being and our happiness.
Look at this, the iceberg, where we see someone who we perceive to be successful. And if you really knew their story, you may look at them through a whole different lens. Because there's all this stuff that goes into it. What people see at the end of the day is the success, but they don't see everything that it took to get to it. And that's the mistake that we make with a lot of people. With a lot of people. Don't just see the success and wish you had their life and wish you had their story, because you don't know what it took for them to get wherever it is they may be. So these are some things to consider. And it also is a forewarning that success doesn't always come easy. There may be some challenges along the way. But you have to do these things. You have to persist. You have to sacrifice. You have to be dedicated. You have to put in the hard work. And regardless of what it is that you're trying to reach, you're going to have to put the work in.